You okay if I start, Don? I
Yes,
can just give a quick
absolutely.
technical overview. Okay. First of all, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is the second webinar that we've tried hosting to date. This one should hopefully run a little bit more smoothly than the previous ones have. But do bear with us if there's any technical difficulties. We'll try and keep things running as smoothly as we can. There will be time for some Q&As at the end of this presentation. You can submit questions anytime by going to the bottom of your screen. I think there should be a Q&A button that comes up. You can submit your questions there through to our team, and we'll answer all the ones that we can in the time that we have set aside for this. I think that should be it, though. This meeting is also being recorded. Well, it'll be available, most likely be available online later after we've had a chance to process it and get it ready. That should be it. Thanks, Don.
Great. Thanks very much, Kerry. Appreciate that. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on our third quarter NorZinc update webinar. My name is Don McDonald, and I'm the CEO of NorZinc. And with me today are Scott Fulton, our VP Project Development, Peter Porker, our CFO, and Kerry Cupit, our multi-skilled exploration and project manager who is leading the 2020 exploration program that has commenced since our last webinar. As you mentioned, the call will consist of a PowerPoint presentation followed by a short Q&A. On today's call, we would like to update you on NorZinc's third quarter performance, new developments at our Prairie Creek mine, and discuss an exciting investment opportunity. Please go to slide 2. This slide provides a normal cautionary statements with regards to the expressions to do with planning and future-looking statements. If you go to slide 3. As a reminder, NorZinc is developing the Prairie Creek mine, an extremely high-grade silver, zinc, and lead mine located in Dene Traditional Lands region in the Northwest Territories in Canada. This mine was previously called the Cadillac Silver Mine. We completed our feasibility study in 2017 and are currently in the process of a mine enhancement program to significantly increase both production and reserves. You can see on the slide our targets for both production and reserve increases. All these are compared with the original 15-year mine life in the 2017 feasibility study. Based on the feasibility study numbers, the targeted 50% increase should lead to annual production in concentrate of approximately 3 million ounces of silver and about 300 million pounds or 135,000 metric tons a year of combined zinc lead. These numbers are based on proven and probable reserves, but the Prairie Creek mine has a significant silver resource, particularly outside of the current reserve envelope. And in October, we commenced the first stage of a silver-focused exploration program. The first stage being a relatively modest winter surface drill program, and the second stage being a much more comprehensive underground drill program that we plan to start, financing permitting, in the second quarter of next year. Kerry will provide more details later on in the call. Please go to slide number 4. As well as silver, Prairie Creek mine benefits from incredible zinc and lead grades. The slide shows all the zinc lead development projects worldwide that contain over 500,000 tons of combined zinc and lead in reserves. As you can see, Prairie Creek is the third highest grade in the world at 16.7% combined grade, and the 7th largest in contained zinc and lead without inclusion of any of the value for silver. And I'll now walk you through our third quarter updates. Slide 5, please. Financially, in September, we completed a US $2.25 million financing with RCF, adding to the $3 million US from Q2 of 22, both were under an unsecured bridge credit facility. In October, we also commenced a rights offering that we had first discussed in April. The rights offering is a maximum target amount of 10 million Canadian, with 7.1 million backstopped by RCF, essentially paying off the RCF credit facility and leaving cash to carry us into the next year. We will discuss the rights offering in a bit more detail later in the call. The NWP has been blessed with a very low instance of COVID-19 cases, with only 5 confirmed in the early months of the pandemic. And as a result of that, introduced strict quarantine procedures. To meet these requirements, we worked with the GNWT regulators and local communities to complete a specific NorZinc focused NorZinc COVID-19 exposure control plan prior to site opening. That was completed and approved by everybody early in July, and we commenced the mine site opening July the 11th to commence water treatment operations. And then in October, we commenced our surface drill program with its renewed focus on silver. Please go to slide number 6. Actually, I will now pass it over to Kerry, who will update you on the drill program.
Yes, thanks, Don. So as Don mentioned, we have a pretty sizable inferred resource at Prairie Creek with grades that are similar to the already defined mineral reserves, which currently comprise our mine plan. It's in this area close to the edge of the existing reserves where we think the continuity of the MQV vein may support upgrading these resources for inclusion in future mine plans. And on this figure, if you see the gray callout box in the top right pointing to the location of hole PCU 1572, it's sort of adjacent to this area that we're targeting our current exploration program. Let's see, next slide, please. So our 2020 surface drill program started, as Don mentioned, in mid-October, and it's currently progressing on the second hole, targeting areas that we're anticipating high-grade MQV and stockwork mineralization. The first hole is complete. Assay samples have been selected, cut, and sent out of the mine site, and are currently at our assay lab in Mississauga with results expected soon. Preliminary interim results and/or full results will be disclosed as soon as they're ready and available for release. Winter has since crept in since starting the program, but we've got pretty experienced crews at the mine site. They're able to keep things running under most conditions. Yeah, as long as needed. But thanks, Don. Back to you.
Okay, thanks. Slide number 8. I'll now walk you through our investment opportunity, silver. We've been seeing this year silver prices jump. At one time, they were over 80% up from last year's average of $16 US per ounce. The prices have stabilized at over 50% above last year, and market conditions support the price of silver remaining high in the medium and long term. Given the current silver market, combined with the fact that we have a long mine life, high silver grades, we have high silver grade zones and reasonable planned silver reduction, we are returning our focus to silver. As I mentioned, this was originally built in the 1980s as the Cadillac silver mine. As you can see, silver now represents almost 30% of our net revenue using the feasibility study model, with average silver grades over the first 8 years in our feasibility at 4.1 ounces per ton. We have reserves of 32 million ounces of silver and inferred resources of 34 million ounces of silver, and targeted silver production of 3 million ounces per year based on the planned 50% throughput increase. There's no question that the company's share price does not reflect the value of the silver production compared to many other peer companies that market themselves as primary silver companies. And it's important to point out, as you'll see in the next slide, that a lot of those companies actually have base metals as part of the silver. Silver often is associated with zinc. With lead. Investing in NorZinc offers a rare opportunity. Unlike other silver companies, we are still priced as a zinc-lead mine, as you can see from the next slide, slide number 9. This table also shows that when looking at either the market cap or enterprise value of reserves and resources, NorZinc is undervalued. Two other factors that are important to note are the location and the study level. That is the level at which these studies have been done. As you can see, we are at the feasibility study level, and some of these companies are at the preliminary feasibility study or the preliminary economic assessment. Many of these mines are located in jurisdictions with significant geopolitical risk. And also, we've indicated the study level, as I said, and as you can see, many of these mines are quite early stage when compared with Prairie Creek mine. Just a few interesting pieces here of data. You can see our resource base in the measured and indicated is 38 million ounces of silver. We have 38 million ounces of silver in the inferred category, and that's the target of much of our exploration. But when you add in the value of the lead and the zinc, it's equivalent to 316 million ounces of silver equivalent. And that's, that's up there with, and it's in the top quarter, I guess, of those companies listed here. So we clearly are on a silver basis. We still have, we significantly have a significant silver base, which is just not valued in our share price at all. Please go on to slide number 10. As stated, investing in NorZinc offers a rare opportunity to invest in a substantial resource of silver, while NorZinc is still priced as a zinc-led company. When compared to other junior silver companies, NorZinc's project is more advanced than most, located in a stable and environmentally friendly jurisdiction. In fact, Prairie Creek's mine financing, the Prairie Creek mine is permitted. The Prairie Creek mine permitted will be. I'm sorry. The Prairie Creek mine will likely be the country's next silver, zinc, lead mine. We are more advanced in Canada than any other project in the Northwest Territories. There are several other projects that are in the same category as us, the same as in the Yukon, but we're more advanced than any of those. NorZinc benefits from the significant zinc and lead resources, which generate strong cash flow. However, since the pricing has yet to adjust, investing now ensures you the upside of the silver market without the risk. I joined the company in 2018, and since then we have strengthened both the management team and board of directors with highly experienced individuals. We put together a comprehensive and clear strategy to maximize shareholder value and bring this project into production. As I previously mentioned, now referring to the rights offering, as I previously mentioned, we launched a rights offering in October, and it's trading until November the 18th on the TSX under the symbol NZC.RT until 12 p.m. Eastern Time on November the 18th. The structure is as follows: 1 right per share with 2.54 rights entitling the holder to acquire 1 common share of NorZinc at 6.5 cents per share. For more information on how to exercise your rights, we welcome you to reach out to our information agent, Laurel Hill Advisory Group, at 1-877-452-7184, or by email at assistance@laurelhill.com, and they will be able to assist you. The company continues to, just an update on our financing strategy. The company continues exploring all financial options to further advance and de-risk the Prairie Creek mine. Subject to the availability of additional capital, management is currently exploring different work plan alternatives, including a potential underground drill program, as I mentioned before, an updated feasibility study, and assessment of an early stage winter road in 2022. The strong silver market and undervaluation of NorZinc has created an opportunity for both new and existing investors to participate in this incredible upside that the company has. So in summary, we are a significant silver reserve and resource. We have highly experienced management team and board. We're the best-in-class sustainability and responsibility practices. We support and have social license from the local communities and government. Zinc and lead pays the bills and mitigates the risk. Silver is the sizzle, and significantly more advanced than most of our competitors. And finally, it's located in a geopolitically favorable jurisdiction, namely Canada and Northwest Territories. With that, thank you for joining us, and we'll now open up for questions.
Thanks very much, Don. So just a reminder, there is a Q&A button along the bottom part of your screen. If you click on that, it should allow you an opportunity to submit some questions for us to review. I know there were some questions that were sent by email in advance. We're just getting those entered into the system right now. But in the meantime, I think there is a question here that we can start on answering. Don or Peter, if you'd like to jump in on that first one. If you can see it on your screen.
Yes, so I'll answer, Peter, if you can help. So the question is, what is expected project financing required, and what percentage of the project funding will be from share dilution versus offtake, royalties, bank debt, etc. So the big thrust for project financing is likely to be in the latter part of next year and the beginning of the following year. As I mentioned before, we are looking at starting to construct the winter road in Q1 of 2022, but likely based upon our assumption that we will be doing this extra drilling starting next year, or the underground drilling starting next year, to include these extra reserves in our final feasibility study for the financing. That financing is likely to happen in 2022. At that point in time, we are expecting a substantial portion of the whole capital to be funded through both project financing and a silver stream. And it depends on the total value of those two elements as to how much is going to come from equity. But we're definitely looking at significantly more than, I would say, probably more than 70% of the capital coming from those other two sources, and the remainder either coming from equity or equity-related funding. Seeing the next question here. Have you solved the issues of transporting the concentrate so the mercury is not an issue? Another question. I'll answer this one and then pass it to Scott to elaborate on it. I mean, I think the important thing is that the mercury in the concentrate is not a danger. It's not a problem. It's not necessarily a dangerous element. It's embedded in the lead concentrate, and for transportation, it's not the problem. The mercury is difficult for the smelters because you have to have special processing facilities at the smelters. Otherwise, mercury in the concentrate can erode the internal workings, the internal seals of the smelting of the roasters. Scott?
Yep, Don's right. I mean, it's a smelting issue more than anything else. From a concentrate perspective, transporting it out is not the issue. We fully understand it much more now than we ever have. So it's coming down to a sequencing, a mine planning perspective rather than anything else. But like Don alluded to, it's more a smelting issue than anything else.
I can see another question. I think it's indirectly come through our office here. It says, I've seen no mention of the all-season road recently and would like to know what the timelines are for that construction. So the all-season road consists of a series of winter roads, and steadily over a 3-year period, it's converted from a winter road into an all-season road. The first part of the all-season road, we call it phase 1, is the winter road I'd mentioned to you. You had mentioned that starts Q1 of 2022, financing permitted. So the schedule for that road will be over the 3 years of 2022, 2023, and 2024. Scott?
That's exactly it. It's over a 3-winter campaign. And during the summer months, we turn it into the all-season road. So commencing in Q1 of 22, the road will be completed into the ASR around Q3 of 24.
Okay. The next question from that's with initials MR. Peter, can you see that one? Can you answer that one? Do you want me to read it to you?
This is the one regarding the silver price rocket.
Yes.
Yes.
So read the question.
The question is, if silver price skyrockets or doubles, would NorZinc change the focus towards silver rather than lead and zinc to attract more shareholder attention? Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, no, of course. So as silver prices have increased, as Don alluded to during the presentation, we are putting a heavier focus on silver and obviously marketing the company for the relative undervaluation as a silver project. So as the price continues to go up, we'll continue looking at ways to maximize the value that we can get for our shareholders from the increase in the price of the commodity. I don't think it will necessarily at this point change in how we would sequence things, etc. But we will continue looking at ways, again, to bring more silver into production at a sooner rate if possible, if the price keeps going up at the pace it has over the last 12 months.
Yeah, it would be a game changer for us, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
The price went up. And just think about it. I mean, silver was, in the high 30s back just a few years ago. And it was $50 an ounce when the Hunt brothers constructed the original mine. So yeah, if we're back up at $50 an ounce, this is most definitely a silver mine. The next question here, it's an interesting one. It says, why stop the idea of I'll paraphrase the question. So I'll read it directly. Why stop the idea of getting the mine started with finishing the road and upgrading the mill and instead start drilling more holes? So in other words, why not focus on drilling as opposed to building the mill? I think that's a very interesting point. I think we're frankly trying to have our cake and eat it. We are doing the drilling. We're planning to do the drilling. Surface drilling is difficult, as Kerry pointed out during the winter. And underground drilling is definitely the best bang for the buck. We can get far more penetration by drilling underground, but we need the financing to do that, and we were unable to kick that off in the middle of this year. That was our accelerated hope, but with COVID-19, it just didn't turn out to be practical. So we've switched the idea of doing that into next year. But no, it's a really important point that we do have tremendous exploration potential here, and actually, I'm going to pass to Kerry. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Of course, yeah. We've seen excellent continuity with the main quartz vein. We have to date 226 surface holes and 72 underground holes that have been drilled into our main quartz vein ore body. And it has good continuity. We have a good understanding of where the grades are and where they diminish and the extents that we have. But the greatest exploration potential for the existing mine plan is certainly off to the north through our inferred resource. There's quite a few tons out there that we could convert. The challenges is with drilling from surface, the topography tends to go up and the geology is dipping down. So it gets tougher to access through surface drilling, which is why Don alludes to you get your best bang for the buck through an underground campaign, where you'd be able to knock off the holes 100 to 200 meters each versus the longer distances required from surface.
Okay. There's a question here on the Newfoundland property. Could you update that, Peter?
So we're in ongoing discussions with the party right now on the potential sale of the Newfoundland property, but given the fact that everything is under a SCA, I can't really comment too much on it outside of what's been disclosed in the financials and the MD&A.
Okay, sounds good. There's another question on the possibility of share consolidation.
Yeah, I can take that one too. Yeah, so at this point in time, we have not held discussions in terms of consolidating the shares, but we are going to keep monitoring obviously the situation, and at a point where we feel it may be necessary, we'll address that. But to answer the question directly, no, at this point in time, we are not planning on doing a share consolidation.
Next question is a question basically looking at, it's a long question, so I'll paraphrase it, saying, in our circular, we said that we have enough capital last 6 to 12 months. And the question that I think the investor has is, although I do like your, that is, it's of concern that we only have a limited amount of capital going forward. And I think the shareholder is, does he hold his shares or does he sell? And, no question the market is in a tumult right now. There's no question as well that we're having done the rights offering and then doing it in the middle of some great uncertainty in the junior market. I mean, it's great if you're on the Dow, but we're not on the Dow. And so we saw a big pullback in our share price a few weeks ago when everybody else did who were in the junior sector. We do think that the shareholders are not valuing the silver at all. And so obviously that's a message we want to get out to the market, is that silver is an important part of this company and this project going forward. And I suspect that you're going to see, after the rights offering is done, you're going to see a bit of strengthening in the market for our shares, but because there tends to be an arbitrage that goes on when a rights offering is done. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm a substantial shareholder of the company, and I'm not looking at selling. I think you should look at the management and our holdings as well. But it is a tough market out there, and there are no guarantees. But we have very good support from Resource Capital, and we're continuing to have discussions on various financings, including, as we mentioned before, this idea of a silver stream. The next question said, could you explain NorZinc's position on potential M&A? On that one, much of my career, I've been involved in M&A, inbound and outbound. And, you know, when you're in a market, when people are all beaten up, M&A is an important way to spread the risk. So, you know, we are certainly open to M&A in one fashion or another. And, you know, I think that it's a real way to, you know, spread risk, but also to see, you know, one or two equally underpriced shares getting together and make a better, bigger company. Like the example I like to give is diamonds. I was in diamond business for a short period of time. You know, if you take a 5-carat diamond and you take another 5-carat diamond and you put them together, the 10-carat diamond is worth a devil of a lot more than 2 5-carat diamonds. Any of your permits lapsing will require new permit applications? Yes, we do have our operating permits, which we got in 2013. They actually require renewal in 2020. We're already in the process of them. There's some discussion on that in our MD&A. And we're going through a process, frankly, of simply renewal, but also of revising those to deal with the increased throughput that we're planning to have in place by the time we get into production in a few years' time. So good question there. There's another question on commencing the road construction. I think we've already answered that. There's, sorry, lots of questions here. What silver price will be required to make silver the prime commodity for the project? I think it's fair to say, let's just do the simple math here. We've said that, you know, we're almost 30% on the silver, and that's based upon $24, $25 an ounce. So to become 50%, you know, we'd have to be up in that kind of $35, $40 an ounce level, which, you know, happened back in the early 2010s. So it's definitely a possibility here. What's the biggest risk for delay to reaching production? I think the biggest risk is really, well, I think COVID-19 has got a, you know, we don't really know the schedule on that. We don't know how it's going to affect us in the coming years. I can't help but believe that the commodity prices in general are going to improve. So I think the biggest risks is really the financing side in this market and seeing ourselves out of COVID-19. And we've mentioned this in our MD&A that you know, there's a great deal of uncertainty in COVID-19. Great promise here, obviously, with the vaccines in plural. But I think getting through to a post-COVID-19 period and knowing what the markets are there, I think that's our biggest question. One person said, would you consider dividends in the next 5 years? And I'm sorry, the answer to that is no. You know, companies such as ours to send out dividends in the early years of operations is pretty unusual. I probably shouldn't have been so emphatic about my no, but it's pretty unlikely that we will be issuing dividends. We may have a dividend policy by that point in time. In fact, we should have a dividend policy. I would say in 5 years, we will definitely have a dividend policy. Whether we actually will have issued dividends is another question. I think I probably have missed some. I'm not able to go back and look at every question. There was a question on milling the concentrate, the smelting of the concentrate. Right now, where we have MOUs in Korea and in Sweden with Boliden in Sweden. We're also looking around the world for other places to take our product. We actually could be distributing and selling it in North America, but the smelting parties, unnamed smelting parties in North America and Europe, there are a number of them that are very expensive, and so we're trying to go with parties that will be the most efficient economically for us.
I think I can just add to Jerry's question there. We will be producing con from the mill in Q4 of 24. I think that answers your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, good. Well, I think we probably answered. I've lost track of all of the questions that we had. Thank you
That was
very
good
much.
too. Yeah, we ran through 16 Q&As there, including some that were emailed in. And I still see that we have the same number of participants as when we started. So that's good. I always wonder how many stick around for the Q&As.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's it for
there's one
questions.
question on project financing. I think we've answered that. I hope we have.
I think we've answered the last one as well from David
Yep.
Barron there. I think it's at the same time as Q424.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Kerry, for organizing this so well and without any electronic hitches. My apologies for stumbling over a few words earlier on, but we do plan to do another webinar sometime next month. I'm not necessarily going to make these monthly, but we do have a lot of things happening. And so we appreciate your attendance and we appreciate your questions. And go and exercise those rights, watch those rights. Wednesday is the deadline. And any help that's necessary, go to laurelhill.com or email our office. And we hope to be able to report some successes on the exploration side in the coming weeks, and look forward to talking to you sometime next month.